Now back to New England Nation.
We are back on New England Nation. Taylor, Rosie, Gresh here for the roundtable. Okay, guys, we have to start with Stefon Gilmore. His impact today. Gresh just talked a little bit about third down. Gresh, is it only third down, or is it a little bit more? And should the Patriots maybe target Gilmore knowing he's not 100% healthy?
I think they're going to, meaning Carolina, will use him in critical situations. So I would say third down, goal-to-go situations. And I don't test him in part because I think they're going to have Stefon Gilmore matching up against guys like Hunter Henry in critical areas. You see right there where he was matched up against Kyle Pitts from Atlanta. So I think it's going to be very specialized, and I expect Carolina to really go deep into the chess match of how to use Gilmore in critical situations.
Stefon Gilmore is obviously a vet, right? He studied hours and hours of film for that first game with the Panthers against the Falcons. He knew where Kyle Pitts was going to be. He knew where Matt Ryan was going to throw the ball. It's not going to be any different for the Patriots, right? This guy's going to study, and he knows the offense and the defense really well. So I think he's going to make a huge impact on this game.
And I think Bill knows Stefon Gilmore very well as well. So I think that's going to be key for the Patriots to know when and if they can test him and when to stay away, avoid him.
Minor caveat, though, some of these wide receivers the Patriots have, while they might not be all pro, Stefon Gilmore didn't necessarily go up against them in practice.
That's true.
So maybe Nelson Aguilar gets by one or two of them. All right, Panthers defense, one of the top defenses in the league, like we mentioned statistically, but who stands out to you individually maybe on that side of the ball?
On that side of the ball? The linebackers. Big time. Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, I think the offense is having a huge time. The running game is probably going to not be as good. And the running game for the Pats has been pretty inconsistent, right? But for the defense, the linebackers are going to go right at Mac too, right? I think Carolina has recorded about 21 sacks so far this season. So a lot of guys, linebackers, of course, will make a pretty big impact this game.
I got to go with Stefon Gilmore. I know we've just talked about him. We've talked about him to death, but this guy was on this team. He knows this team. I think he is going to be a guy that stands out specifically in this game.
Their cornerbacks and safeties are pretty well, veterans, and some of the younger guys have obviously learned from Gilmore too, right? So I think the guys in the secondary are going to be a big impact too.
Gresh, a couple of years ago, Matt Rule did not draft an offensive player. That doesn't happen often. What young piece do you like most, and is this one of the next big defenses across the NFL?
I think it can be because they're pretty good up the middle. You got Jeremy Chin on the back end, who is an FCS level safety who really plays up. He's 6'2", he's about 215. And then the reason the defense for Carolina played well last week was because they got Shaq Thompson back in the middle. He's really the quarterback of the defense. You can tell me all you want about Hassan Reddick, a linebacker who's got 7.5 sacks. It's really about Thompson and Chin. If you're good up the middle, you're normally good in sports. And with those two guys in there, they are. But keep an eye on Thompson, though, because he was going in even to last week's game.
With that being said, Gresh, how important is physicality up front for this Patriots offensive line? And an extension, what is the Patriots offensive approach today?
Yeah, I think they're going to try to run the ball early, and I would press the edges. I'm not a big fan of the toss play for New England. I do think they end up mixing a couple of them in, but ultimately, if the run game gets slowed down, it's going to be Mac and the short passing game. So I expect early to try to run. Maybe it gets skunked a little bit. We'll see if they have a smattering of success. If they do, they remain balanced. But otherwise, this could be a game where Mac Jones throws as many as 45 passes to get the win.
All right, let's jump to our last question here. Is this the start of the playoff run? I want to start with the ladies here because there's 4 winnable games right here in November.
Yeah.
And if you win 4, you're 8-4, and then you really have a chance even to win the division with 2 games of the Bills still left on the schedule. Yes or no, start of a playoff run?
Oh, big time. You have to. And I don't think this team's going to get complacent either. I think Matt Slater's wrong. I really think that this team who's been talking about they're better than their record, they are not going to get comfortable. This is the start. They got to capitalize.
Like you said, winnable games in November. I don't know if they're going to be winning all of them. They could, though. That's looking at the positive side of things. But yeah, I think that they could start this playoff run right now, and I think they will.
Gresh, we're talking path already.
It's really going to come down to the head-to-head battles against teams like the Chargers that they've already won. We know they got Indianapolis, They've got one here against Carolina that'd be a good win, but beating Cleveland is probably more important because you want those AFC tiebreakers.
All right, before you can win 4, you've got to win 1. I'm sure that's the approach from Bill Belichick and his team in the locker room. All right, that's the roundtable.